Jerome Powell's Wednesday press conference shows why our central bank needs a drastic overhaul and why Powell should step down now. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. The fundamental flaws of the way the Federal Reserve operates these days were on full display Wednesday when Jerome Powell talked to the media after the meeting of the central bank's key policy-making committee. The Fed was cutting interest rates by 0.25%. That reduction surprised no one. What did surprise people was Powell's throwing cold water on another small cut next month. The overwhelming consensus had been that the Fed would do it. Now, Powell was saying it might not happen because there is so much uncertainty and confusion about where the economy is actually headed, a situation exacerbated by the lack of some economic data thanks to the government shutdown. Consumer spending is good, yet labor markets are wobbly. Powell declared, "What do you do when you're driving in the fog? You slow down." Actually, the fog is the way the Fed and most other central bankers and economists see the world. Here's where our central bank is off base. The Fed is still firmly wedded to the false idea that prosperity causes inflation. It has a bizarre bias against a vigorous economy, fearful that such activity will send prices up. It has forgotten that changing prices tell us what people want and don't want. Without prices that are allowed to reflect genuine supply and demand, an economy doesn't work right, period. For the Fed to try to suppress prices distorts the marketplace. Money is simply a way of measuring value, the way a thermometer measures the temperature. The Fed's prime task should be to maintain a stable dollar. The dollar should no more fluctuate than the number of inches in a foot. Yet Powell paid no attention whatsoever to the currently weak dollar, a harbinger of future trouble. The central bank should not be in the business of trying to manipulate economic activity. Another flaw Powell's presser highlighted was the obese size of the Federal Reserve's holdings of securities. The amount has come down from pandemic highs, but is still far above pre-COVID levels, and some 8 times higher than it was before the economic crisis of 2008-2009. Back then, with no discussion, the Fed flooded the system with reserves and didn't remove them when the crisis receded. Before 2008, the Fed's balance sheet came to 6% of GDP. Now it's 21%. Powell declared on Wednesday that the Fed will no longer be reducing the size of its balance sheet. He had no credible explanation. The real reason is pure power. An institution holding $6.6 trillion of securities has immense sway in the financial marketplace. It affects what sectors can get credit more easily than others. No bureaucracy surrenders such power voluntarily. By the way, around 40% of the reserves the Fed pays interest on are for foreign banks. American taxpayers are subsidizing foreign-owned banks. A subject that didn't come up at Powell's presser was where did this 2% inflation goal come from? Actually, it was pulled out of thin air. The flaws of the Fed demand a fundamental change. A new leader is needed. And who will be that new leader? The current Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and I look forward to being with you soon again.